Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah. My baby monster, my baby mama wants me to be a sponsor. I think she may want me to want her, but I just want to raise my baby without this chick acting crazy, without her using the baby as yet another instrument to enslave me. I also wonder if she really crazy. I think the whole situation's
been a long 8 years since I had my first two. One pretty in pink and the other baby blue. I really missed you, but your mommy, well, forget it. I tried to pick you up the other day, she wasn't with it. Matter of fact, she kinda shitted on our time together, but forget it. Cause God forbid I tell the truth, cause everybody's a critic. Don't say that and make her look bad. But if she didn't do it, then I wouldn't have to ask. But daddy take the weight, cause daddy make the cake. Your mom be getting it proper like the Air Force in Kuwait. When I come to get my little queen, your mommy's always eyes me. Jealous of the fact me and my new shorty clean. But we happy when we leave, despite what she believes. She don't understand the importance of a man in your life. There to help you be a better wife or husband in the end. But until then,
my baby monster, my baby mama wants me to be a sponsor. I think she may want me to want her, but I just want to raise my baby without this chick acting crazy, without her using the baby as yet another instrument to enslave me. I also wonder if she really crazy. I think the whole situation is shady.
Can let's flip the dogs of war. If you didn't want me, take 'em, what you pack is back for. What you call a cap for? Why you slamming the door? What you had a baby with me for? If you didn't want to share, do you remember I was there both times? I saw they eyes open for the first time both times. You carried 9 months, I carried my whole life. Or when we started fucking back when you was my wife. But then you chose another life, and baby I did too. How come everything you say always pertains to you? Why's it always about how you feel about him taking it? I'm his father, who the hell you was expecting it? You disrespecting it, you constantly injecting it. Your negativity, that's based on your rejection it. Makes me unaffectionate, cause it's a deficit. And I am not protecting it, that much is evident.
My baby monster, my baby mama wants me to be a sponsor. I think she may want me to want her, but I just want to raise my baby without this chick acting crazy, without her using the baby as yet another instrument to enslave me. I also wonder if she really crazy. I think the whole situation is shady.
Many moons from now, when these babies get old, they're gonna realize that a lot of time you stole, and they're gonna wanna know why you had to make it so difficult for their daddy spend some time to buy a coat for 'em. You wanna die for 'em, but I'd rather live for 'em. I wanna teach them how to live and maybe transform the perception of our people worldwide. Have pride and ride, and if they have to rise above all the bullshit that comes from me and you. I only wanna be with them, but I got to see you too, so let's make a deal. You find a way to work through your issues on the real, and I will pledge to know the legend how to make you feel, so I can get the parenting and flipping this McLaren in. At least you not on heroin, cause that would be ill, but not much more than I seen before.
My baby monster, my baby mama wants me to be a sponsor. I think she may want me to want her, but I just want to raise my baby without this chick acting crazy, without her using the baby as yet another instrument to enslave me. I also wonder if she really crazy. I think the whole situation is shady.
Yeah. So, moral of the story is, for what it's worth, we should make it work. If you can't, then don't. Dude, if she take your baby, at least try to find out where the baby is. Chicks, stop using your baby as collateral, it's not fair. And baby, please forgive mommy and daddy for all the bullshit. Cause in the end, you the most important thing.
Peace. This is Aseer the Subtleties. You are now tuned in to Heru Radio. You are now tuned in to Heru Radio. peace to all the human families of the planet Earth. Coming in loud and clear. Hope we're coming in loud and clear, because we've been having some technical difficulties. But as it stands, I'm here with my brother, Saga Asad. What's up, homie? You there? See what I mean?
Hello?
Yo.
Hello? You can hear me?
What's up, homie? You there?
Yeah, this joint is acting up.
Right. Yeah, you see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's up, everybody? You tuned in again to Super Able Radio. The song you heard in the beginning was a joint by me. Aseer the subtleties called Baby Monster. And, we're here to get into a little bit of the current events, as well as some new things and some historical things. And, we played that in the beginning because the main topic we kind of wanted to talk about was, the state of the so-called black family, as well as the rash of abductions that have been going on in the black community, both self-inflicted as well as involuntary. But in terms of current events, anything caught your interest this week on?
Well, I was, burning the candle that, Slick Bill croaked, but I guess that didn't go there. The homie hit in the hospital, earlier in the week.
Yeah. Voodoo too much for him. That Haitian voodoo is too much.
Yeah.
Was laid him out. And they gave a nigga another bypass. This is like this nigga's nice bypass and shit.
Yeah. They cut open ventricles in his heart and all that. Like,
yeah. These dudes are straight cyborgs now, dude. It's not even about anything other than maintaining some sort of existence in the decaying carcasses that they've chosen to inhabit, But also analogous to that too, happy to all of our people listening out there, all of the Moors listening out in places like the Muslim parts of China. This is the year of the white tiger, so it's a new year,
Yeah.
And the tiger, again, is an Indian animal specifically, but it was brought to China by members of the old Moorish Xiang dynasty. You could get a book called African Presence in Early Asia by Ivan Van Sertima. It'll talk about the Xiang. And they're the ones who set up the whole, Son of Heaven and all that stuff. But anyway, the tiger is also symbolic of the dragon. So whenever you're looking at a tiger, you're looking at a dragon. And the dragon is also supposedly one of the symbols of the 13th sign in the so-called zodiac that was taken out, that used to be in between Scorpio and Sagittarius for those people who's into research, knowledge and stuff. But I find it funny that now that it's the age of the white tiger for them, China is going through a sand blizzard. They ripped down so much of their forest that all of the sand from the desert is now blowing into the to the city, where to the point where niggas is wearing whole straight gas bodysuits now. Like it's not even. Yeah, you wearing straight up yellow hazmat suits. Walking to the store, son, from this next level. And then on top of that, all of the organ harvesting is, and it's not necessarily Chinese people, per se, but it's more about the elite in their so-called government.
Yeah.
They out of control, man. They're trying to outwhite the white man.
Yeah. They want to be honorary whites, though.
Yeah, but it's killing them.
Exactly.
But there's another faction of them that's now trying to set up shop in Africa because they're trying to mix the DNA with the dark melanin people there.
Yeah.
So they're giving it the African governments a certain degree of stability in the form of military hardware as well as armament. Also, U.S. killed 12 civilians today over in Afghanistan. Most of them women and children. So they left the dead for
all of the fallen, murdered children, all of the abducted children, all of that. Let's say, I say to them.
Yeah, I say.
But and they apologize though. You know what I'm saying? They said, they would look into not using so many rockets, to bomb villages.
And they got satellites up in the sky that could look down and see a penny on the concrete, but they don't know how to bomb things properly. Come on.
Yeah, they
Google Maps is everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, son, they got this new shit called been verified, yo. That's the next level. Like, they don't even need intelligence. See, that's the backlash of all of this open society thing. When Obama was talking about transparency in government, he wasn't talking about the government telling you what they're doing. He was talking about the government just making it possible for you to just put all your shit out there, So they made a deal through Google with the DMV, and I heard YouTube is in the deal too, but, who's to say? Either way, some people with money got together and put money into this been verified thing where, anybody you put up in there, they not only have your address, they have your neighbors in the shit. Like, your neighbors is listed, son. Everything, like, it's not even, and it's free. You dig what I'm saying? It's free. So when people talk about, privacy and act and all this other stuff, this is allegedly a regular corporation, like a regular, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even real like that.
Yeah,
government affiliated folks.
Like 1984, you know what I'm saying? Only place you're going to be safe is in your head, and then even that they're trying to take away. You know what I mean? The only place you're going to have sovereignty is in your own mind. They're trying to take that away. Yeah.
And, on top of that, the Haitian thing is biting them back on the low. A lot of the military, they got more U.S. military in Haiti right now than they had in Iraq in the invasion, allegedly, according to the, Daily News and New York Times and BBC. Allegedly. You see what I'm saying? So, again, it's not, the whole thing was never really about Haiti. It was more about creating a staging ground, being that they got to close Guantanamo. You know what I'm saying? People don't realize when the president say he got to do something, he got to do that. Even if it don't get done, he got to make it look like it's being done. So at the same time niggas is doing it, you got a whole nother side of the crew that's making shit happen and make it look like he did it just in case he don't do it. You see what I'm saying? So all of this stuff is running simultaneously, and all of these groups are running autonomously amongst each other. That's why nobody want to share information, because they never know who's really working, because the U.S. government is not a government, it's an NGO. So that means it can have other governments put programs into play within the United States government, and the United States and the people who's working for the foreign power that in play with the United States it's not seen as treason. They just ain't telling nobody about it because it all falls under the intelligence budget and shit like that. But again, crime makes up 14 to 24% of the gross national product. See what I'm saying? So when crime go down, you see what I'm saying? They losing crazy money. So crime always has to appear as if it is a consistent part of the reality. When really, if it was, there would be no society. You could have a society where crime was happening all the time, like that.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's why they always saying crime is down, or crime is always fluctuating. One year they saying, oh, there's no crime over here, but dudes is getting body on a daily basis. And the next year they saying, oh, it's mad crime over there, but yet nothing's really happening.
And then most of the people doing the crime is the police. They don't want to killing everybody.
Yeah.
the psychos that's out here killing their families and shit like that, all of that. If people really did the due diligence on it, really wish they not, but if they did, if they really went back in on stuff and they really started piecing together who these people's family was, it's all going to go back to a certain point in time. And that's usually between 1945 and 1965 is when all of these people more or less came into being because they were imported from somewhere else and all grew up in the same program, and that program led to things like serial killing, pedophilia, all that stuff. If you look at the average statistics of the United States in terms of even the people that was here, let's say between 1777 and 1899, it was a totally different place. You know what I'm saying? But then if you look at it from 1777 back to 1492, it was even more different. But the further back you go, the blacker it gets. Yep. And that's the problem. So we got to keep focusing on the terrorists and all the shit that's going on now. Speaking of terrorists, I heard your man Tim Geithner's walking around with a goddamn low jack on right now because they arrested. Because they arrested that dude, right? That nigga, I heard they arrested this nigga. Yes, right. I heard this nigga walking around with a joint on.
Yeah, you could the infighting is at, you know what I'm saying, a fever pitch right now. Like everybody's getting outed right now from left to right, center. Opening up on all sides.
Oh,
I heard
out Craig Hagan, son.
Yeah,
it's out him too. Because I mean, you know, it was kind of obvious to some people they already knew. And this is not to say that his information wasn't tight. It had to be tight in order for him to be taken seriously, and in order for people to put him in the same vein as people like Phil and Bobby and all that. But Brother Daoud and all of that. But in the end, the nigga's down with the sheriff of the Passaic County, man. So that's his number one friend on MySpace. Don't believe, check it out. Yeah, man.
Yikes.
You know, they went in on him, hard.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I mean. Now is not the time to be doing this type of stuff if you're not really, if you're not really on the up with it, man. Because the energy of Saturn and Libra mixed with Jupiter and Pisces, you're either doing too much too late or too less too soon. You know, it's like you got to be real on your own G if you really want to navigate this time, because mad shit is coming out. Everybody's being exposed. They can't hide nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Right now. I heard Eve about to go down. She involved in some scandal with some African president washing blood money.
Yeah, washing the money through the hip hop shit. I heard about that, yo. I heard about that. You know, and then everybody already knows she was on the sex slave shit.
Yep.
You know, that was going heavy because there was pictures. If everybody look at like certain celebrity websites and stuff like that, if you're going to look at that stuff and you're going to be into it or whatever, start looking at it from the perspective of a researcher in the sense that you're looking at consistencies in body patterns, body language, clothing, gesture, hand sign, you know what I mean? Eye alignment. Like if you look at certain niggas, just they eyes be crooked. They eyes be crooked. You know what I'm saying? They just don't be right. So why would you then think that this person was, good enough to, to give, sleep out on the street for their concert?
Yeah, to get tickets and all that. To spend your hard-earned money on their records or buy their clothing. Every other little freaking thing that they're getting into now. You know, everybody got headphones now. Diddy got headphones, Timberland got headphones, Dr. Dre got headphones. Like, what y'all niggas mean?
They all get the same deal. So the thing with the crackers that mess with them and are controlling them is that they know all they got to do is give these dudes money. But see, if he want to deal with one of his own, he knows he can't just give them money. he got to come up with some type of shit where he gets some type of power. See, these niggas have no power. They got all the money, but they don't have no influence. If they did, then he could really keep Lil Wayne out of jail. Like, I think we kept him out of jail. I mean, we being the people. You know, how was it that right after the Saints win, you know, the day after he got to go in, and then the fact that he didn't go in, he had to come out because of the teeth?
Yeah.
Come on, man. They knew, and then they let Mystical out the week before. You know what I'm saying? And then they were talking about doing this Hot Boys reunion shit. It's like the dark energy is manifesting through some certain artists from the New Orleans genre type shit to kind of coalesce, to coalesce and, you know, activate within the people.
Yeah. Because the energy is there. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Isn't Jay Electronica from New Orleans?
Yeah, me too. And that's what I mean. It's like this. It's like them destroying or trying to destroy the spiritual stuff to basically disperse the people. But the energy of the places in us, it's not the geographic location. We made the geographic location magnetically relevant to us by putting our hands into the earthen mounds and things like that, building it up, tending the land and all that. All of that is a magical process, you know, to plant something from seed and one day be under it, sitting under it in the shade with your grandkids, shit like that. Like that type of shit is something that we used to, that was like a clock, you know, that we would use today. So everything that was a natural part of who and what we are, at one time, once the reality shift came in, had to be adapted and have some type of archetype to exist in while you know, in the fiction, you know. So you could be a more in the fiction, but you would have to one day figure that out. As opposed to in the reality, that's what you naturally are. So in this reality, you got to study 35 to 50 years to be something that you already born as. Yeah. But when you add 35 and 50, that's 85. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tells you where you going right there.
Yeah, you know. Magical thinking is a application I think that we don't give enough credence to, when that's all this practice is doing. All he's doing is trying to figure out ways that he can flip rituals to keep our attention on him.
Exactly.
You know?
In turn, giving him the power.
Right.
Everybody buying into all the different types of things that he got going on.
Right. And then the proverbial he or they or them or the government or, you know, any of the other phantom names that we in the so-called conscious community have given this, or these people who get run by these entities, is more close to losing everything than it has ever been.
Yep.
Yet, the way the illusion looks is like he got all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm. And everything is under control. Yet the car is like, you know what I'm saying, there's no driver in it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just waiting to hit the wall. You know what I'm saying, really and truly. Everything, like, they don't have, like, they're trying to do all these different things now to tie people back in, to bring them back into the different types of folds of control that they have. Mm-hmm. They can't control the music no more. They can't control the media no more. They can't control TV like that no more, because they just did a study, like over 80% of the people in America, at least the United States corporation, don't even watch regular TV. They watch the internet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They look at everything through the internet. So they just,
how you gonna upgrade? How you gonna upgrade the internet? What's the only way you gonna upgrade the internet again is to get people to go into it. So again, it's about still getting people to give up their natural essence to become part of something virtual. When virtual is again, virtual is not virtuous, you know. And things like virtue and character, integrity, and things like that, that stuff is not even, people don't even think about stuff like that anymore. Like, people don't talk like they mean anything anymore. And I mean black people, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like our people. Like, we be real loud and ready to go in on each other when we feel each other doing some bullshit, but nobody really be going at the person or the entity, you know? And it's always, and when it happens, it's on an individual basis, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which even when like when me and the Queen was going through the whole court thing and having to talk down pigs and things like that, even going through that was just a physical, almost like a birthing pain. You know what I'm saying? Because after which, you also, what we realized is that even though, you know, there's a so-called community of boys or whatever, when we was really going through it, these things wasn't around. And not only that, it's everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody that's probably listening right now has gone through or is the person in their family that is totally not like the rest of the family, and everybody in the family think they're crazy.
It's the other way around.
You know?
Well,
Right.
I can't
Because
say
you got
crazy, but yeah, you know.
Right. Well, they're the ones who you know are paying attention to stuff that most people, especially black people, have written off to. Oh, that's that, you know, bullshit. You into voodoo, you into, you know, that's devil worship and all of that. But then these are the same people, you know, watching the Beyonce video with her in the Baphomet shirt. And,
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And watching the videos with the goat heads and shit in it. And,
yeah.
you know, it's all good. It's all good. It's like, oh,
yeah. Cool. You know, I like
oh, you see that clown face dude? He was like Chucky nigga. Yeah, you know, I'm just saying, like, people watching it, like,
yeah,
like
exactly.
really
That's what I'm trying to say.
Like hard thug niggas, you know, trying to justify this nigga with the clown in the video. Like, since when niggas put clowns in their video, man?
You know, again, that's the, you know, control of the populace, you know, through media, where people look at that and see that, and then, like, if somebody was to come and say, you know, you don't even gotta, like, actually be telling them something, you know what I'm saying? You can just, you know, open up with a question like, yeah, but you don't see that as weird, or like do you really see something behind that or whatever, and allow that person or those persons to really think, you know what I'm saying? Give them a chance to actually, like, think and have a thought on what they're actually engaging in. You know what I'm saying? More so than being like, oh, yo, this and the third. You know, even if you just do something as simple as that, some people still don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Some people still don't get it. Some people still like, I don't see it, you know? I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not a person that focuses on age and things like that, but I know other people do. So as a younger brother, do you feel like people like, let's say my generation, you know, the generation before you, do you think these niggas like drop the balls? Like, do you think like, you look at the elders like, damn, y'all niggas is whack. Like,
nah, I mean, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, you know, people, you know, drop the ball or anything like that. But what I would say, you know, on a certain level, you know, a certain different, you know, understandings of it, what I would say is, like, you know, some people, you know, there's people out there and they consider themselves elders, or, you know, they're of an older generation and they demand respect, you know what I'm saying, rightfully so. But some people, they didn't do anything to earn it, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just got old, and that just means, like, you just didn't die, you know what I'm saying? So, like, or, you know, or you just didn't die in the physical sense. That don't necessarily mean you ain't brain dead, you know what I mean? So, like me personally, you know, I don't necessarily look at it like, you know, people drop the ball, because there's a lot of brothers, you know, a lot of older brothers that, you know, gave me a lot of knowledge and, you know, put me on a lot of things. So I can't say, you know, I can't hold a grudge against, you know, the whole group. But what I would say is that there are some elders out there that are elders, but, you know, they did nothing. So I don't look at them, you know, in such a way to say, like, oh, well, you know, yeah, that's an older brother, so, you know, you got to give him respect because, you know, that brother did this, that, and the third. It's like, you know, kind of like those stories that you would hear at a younger age where, you know, brothers would be like, I was out there fighting for you, you know, getting hit with water hoses and all of that, and then you do the backstory on some of these brothers, and you find out they wasn't even there. So you like,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? You living a lie, homie. You lying.
Yeah.
You wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? You want the respect for it, but you ain't do nothing.
That's like when I was coming up in the 5%, man. I used to meet a lot of elder guys that would talk about like how they was with the father and all of this other shit and all of that. And you know, when you a newborn, you coming into this thing, you know, with all of these feelings, like, you know, I want to be correct, you know, I want to be heard, I want to be able to understand what I'm talking about. I don't want to get beat up. You know what I mean? Like essentially, these are the parts of the whole coming into consciousness thing that we don't really discuss amongst each other. You know, like what it felt like, you know, first time you went to masjid, you know, or the first time you really, you know, sat down in a lecture, or, you know, listen to Dr. Ben, or how, you know what I mean? How you come into consciousness sometimes dictates how long you last in it. You know what I'm saying? Because essentially consciousness is an ongoing thing. It's not like when you get conscious, that's it. It's like it's more of a
marathon.
Right. Exactly. It's something that grows into a certain awareness, especially if you're on the right track for certain things. It should grow into an awareness that you have that enables you to not take anything personally and be objective with what it is you're doing an hours to. We're always going to have our own personal bias, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the material part of ourselves, which is the ego, which is self-preservation, which is connected to physical reality, so we need that. Yet at the same time, we, as original people, can transcend that, you know, into a place where we don't have to necessarily castigate another man because of how he dresses or how he presents. It's all about how that individual is presenting himself, and even if he's fucked up, that's still his right to be fucked up like that. So long as it's not affecting us, you know what I mean, the group, he can be like that. And that's why these crackers win. You know, the white man hate Jews. The Jews is white folk. They just white folk that inbred with each other.
Yep.
And adopted and was used by us as money changers to enslave the rest of their people. You know what I mean? So, you know, they could say what they want and they can argue it down all they want. In the very end, they know. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers know. The people that are doing these horrible things know what and who they're doing it to and why.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, again, in the end, it's really about how we choose to present ourselves, and that we can come, you know, to a certain point of view in which certain constructs are no longer needed. Like, how many of us are that radical? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about necessarily anarchy, and I'm not talking about, you know, just, you know, like do it thou wilt is a very slippery slope. But that's the motto that these motherfuckers live by. You know what I mean? Yet we have a certain divinity, so with us it's do what's in the power of your divine will. Because the will is the intent that creates the magical thinking that allows you to draw what you need to you through the melanin, which then activates the dark plasma of the reality around you, which then keeps certain shit from around you. Like when you start coming into consciousness, right? How many people you stop talking to?
A lot.
over like 10, right? Over like 10 people. Over like 10 people, right?
Definitely.
See? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Not even more so like...
I'm your brother. I didn't even know that.
Not even more so like me stopping talking to them, but them just like not even able to be in ciphers with me no more because maybe they felt I had a certain type of feeling towards them now that, you know, I had taken on and realize certain understandings. So it wasn't even like me, like, well, I know this now, so now I can't deal with you. Or now I'm just going to keep on forcing this down your throat. It's actually the contrary. Like, I know this now, and if you want to know it, you know what I'm saying, I'll, you know, bring you as far as I can, you know what I'm saying, but outside of that, then the rest is up to you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they just kind of, you know, put themselves on the outside. Like, I didn't even have to do anything.
See, that's how I felt. If I felt like, you know, a lot of the people I was coming up with, it was cool, but I should say, however, I felt after a while, like when you first get knowledge, you want to tell everybody. So, you know, you do it with your people that, you know, we all learn it together, whatever. However, then it becomes about, you know, knowledge and shit. So the more you knowledge, you know, the more your wisdom is supposed to enhance. The wisdom is the feminine aspect of what it is you're ingesting in terms of knowledge. So it's a passive form of understanding, you know, where knowledge is more like a straight up masculine form, you know. Since as we're talking about also the principle of gender, not gender meaning just, you know, human beings, male and female, gender meaning the polarity of the universe. You know, you be having to establish shit. You be listening, trying to, like, dissect what you're saying so that it can go on YouTube and make clips and, you know what I'm saying? Like, you bugging with shit, man. Yeah. Bugging out, you know. Yeah. So, you know, just to be clear. But in that, you know, the more you become, or the more we become finite about or adamant about what it is you're trying to, or what it is you're striving to manifest, all the distractions become a hindrance. And I think that's what happens. I think that's what the people who, you know, who no longer fuck with us, or we no longer fuck with, I think essentially is what they feel, what they are interpreting as maybe a certain degree of snobbiness, I don't know, or superiority complex or whatever, or cockiness or arrogance. You know how stupid people look at knowledge. You know what I mean? They look at it as intimidating, so they want to find something wrong with it. So if you're the type of person who's listening and wants to find something wrong with what's being said, you see what I'm saying, then you are what you would consider, if this was a story, you would be the antagonist. You know what I'm saying? So this is not to say that you can't analyze and correct certain things. You know what I'm saying? But then now we come down to the realm, another material realm, and now we're dealing with etiquette and manners. Exactly. You know, and a lot of people don't have that shit. That's that real Morris shit. That all of that charm school, all of that stuff is Morris science, man. MGT, all of that stuff is Morris science. You know what I mean? But again, Moors look at Morris science as coming out of the mind of Noble Jew Ali, and that's cool, it is. Yet Noble Jew Ali came out of the mind of a species mind pattern that is from time immemorial, you know. So again, he is another candle to be lit amongst, you know what I mean, all of the candles on the altar. You know what I mean? Not
one of the many.
You know, yeah, like, you know what I mean? And all are one, because all prophets come in the same name. You know? But people don't also know the esoteric, let's say, Sufic aspect of that, you know, each prophet represents a body part, or a chakra, or a galaxy. You see what I'm saying? Or a element on the so-called periodic table. Which is bullshit too, because the only real element is carbon or hydrogen. You know what I'm saying?
And everything comes out of it.
Right. You know, just so happens there's 99 of them, like there's 99 names of Allah. You know what I'm saying? Like it just so happens you're saying
there's 99 problems.
Yeah, 99 problems. And then they say one word, sir. Word. You see what I'm saying? Everything is everything, man. So in order for, speaking of that, in order for them to make everybody forget the profound impact that the dark-skinned, naughty-headed female left on music with all of her 10 Grammys, you got to give these lesser luminaries, fucking Alicia Keys and all the rest of these bitches, you got to give them like 20 Grammys, 18 Grammys.
Mhm.
You got to stage the Taylor Swift shit to make her seem important to justify her Grammy. And one of them she dropped.
Yeah, and broke.
Broke, son.
Broke a Grammy trying to take a picture.
Right when she was talking shit too.
Mhm.
Shit broke. So again, anything these dudes is doing on the offset, that shit is coming out, man. It started to me when Usher wife went into that coma, trying to get that fat sucked out.
Yeah. Trying to take away from herself, going down to Brazil, where all they do down there is crazy plastic surgeries and butt.
Oh man, that's Mangala heaven, man.
Yeah.
Mangala heaven.
Village, they got Twin Village out there.
Yeah. Where even the roosters is coming out twin. How you make the animals in the trees?
Goats coming out twin and whatnot.
Goats and shit. Come on, man. What kind of science is
you mess with Mr. Green? You want to see you mess with Mr. Green?
See? Dr. Green, yo. I don't fuck with anybody named Green. I don't know. If they white too, I don't know.
Yeah. Better think twice.
Well, ask them about their daddy, because that's what they used to call that nigga.
Yeah.
They used to call him daddy. He used to wear that green ring. Turn that shit and make these niggas rip each other's ears off this shit.
Yeah.
You know, and niggas are still doing that. Niggas are still doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm noticing too, being that this, I guess, for a year since this Barack thing and this war against the conscious community that's been going on. I think that this is all leading up to, you know, the point where they want to get somebody to clap somebody, man. That's what I think this is going to. And it ain't going to be me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they definitely trying to, you know, turn this into some type of, you know what I mean, armed battle, armed struggle, you know what I'm saying, physical war where, you know, now people that, you know, really and truly have so much more in common than they have, you know, they have so much more similarities than they have differences, yet they warring over differences. You know what I'm saying? It's like if we could unite on the similarities, then we good because we have way more of those. But it's like, no, you like red and I like blue, so I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? But it's like at the end of the day, we both like colors, and both of the colors. You know what I'm saying? My red represents something for me. That person's blue represents something for them. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially when both of those things are the same thing. It's like, why can't we come together? You know, everybody looking to try to nitpick at some things that's different. When at the end of the day, the similarities are so strong and so profound, it's like, you know what I mean? Why you looking at, you know what I'm saying? Why you looking at the ground when you're looking at the stars? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Bruce Lee said, don't look at the finger. You miss all the heavenly glory.
Yeah, I think that's why this whole thing seems like it's becoming like, or the elements trying to turn it into like a hip hop thing, you know?
Yeah.
And hip hop is in it. You know, like we rap, we got albums out and stuff. Yet, hip-hop is just one of the elements of the metaphysical aspects of this celestial awakening that is a means of conveyance and a means of practice, you know, and it has a spiritual level, but I don't think that the music or, let's say, the musicians are, you know, the ones who should dictate how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was listening to Waka Flocka Flame, man, and one thing about these guys, and some of them that I hear, man, what I like about this guy, I don't really like his music. I mean, the song is cool, you know, but I respect the fact that he's honest. I was watching the World Star, this dude was like, yo, he's like, nah, man, I don't have no lyrics. He said, I ain't a lyric, you know, I can't really rap like that, you know. And then they was like, what? He's like, nah, I ain't got lyrics. He said, you know, all that lyrical stuff, that's cool. You know, I like that. He said, what? I'm not that guy, you know.
Yeah.
He said, I don't even really
get paid for that.
Yeah, he said, that's what he said. He said, you ain't getting paid for that.
Get paid for that.
He said, that ain't going to make you no money, though.
Mm-hmm.
He said, look, I don't even care if I sell records. He said, if I could do, 4 shows a night at 50,000 a pop, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's dope, man. That's hip-hop to me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? He ain't biting.
He's
like,
doing
these
his own
dudes
thing.
biting. Like, these dudes be straight. Like, biting came in at a point when a lot of them was then falling into debt, And what I see happening with the hip-hop thing is they trying to have elements that haven't really been in lectures like that, haven't really come up through it, And they're just injecting their opinion, and that's cool. I'm just saying that to castigate somebody, for whatever, without, the facts, is crucifixion.
Yeah.
No. And we're all products of that so-called Egyptian thing, where the firstborn of Egypt would always be basically sacrificed,
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is.
Yeah. So you want to get in on the topic of the night?
Yeah, man. Let's do that, man.
You wanna go into it now? You wanna play a song and then come back? When we come back, we're gonna go in on the topic of the night.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think our listeners would be very it's going to be a very interesting topic, and I can't wait to hear what the people have to say and get their comments and their feedback on it.
Oh, so, okay. Before that, let me do a quick history thing.
Okay. Do you think?
So we got that.
Okay.
Into a lot of people, because I write, I write as well, and in the process of researching, I think you get to a point where you actually become, a writer, or you should, because what it allows you to do is correlate and see how much of what it is you've ingested you understand,
Mm-hmm.
So, in that, writing, or let's say logos, was or is one of the aspects, just like, let's say, writing rhymes or rapping is to hip-hop. In terms of, let's say, global so-called, or what we call dark matter consciousness, or dark plasma reality, what we're talking about is the synthesis of all of the things that make us who and what we are, without giving up the individual spark that was given to us by the Creator. You know what I'm saying? Not a specific ideology or human rationale on something that can only be understood and actualized through a metaphysical, i.e. magical composition, So all of what we consider as modern espionage, intelligence, all of that stuff came from a place that they don't really talk about in Moorish history, as well as, history period. And when they do, they always romanticize it as if it was like a Persian thing, which again is Moorish, but that's another story. Anyway, around the 1100s, there was a place called Salamanca. And Salamanca was what we would look at now as like Tibet, but it was like the first Tibet. This is where a lot of the so-called mystics of the so-called religions converged in secret and created universal templates in the forms of symbols and what you would call glyphs that contained otherworldly or extra-dimensional energies, as well as entities that could be invoked. The initial practices of that was from the time of the person that they the historic personage that they call Solomon, you know. However, there's so many Kabbalistic references to that period from things like the Bible, the Kabbalion, a bunch of different writings, you know, from that time that the listeners can go into themselves. But anyway, in Salamanca, they were dealing with things like potions and what do you call, like points of ritual that enabled them to control mass amounts of people. So each society had it. You know, the Roman state had things like potions. They did things like torture, blood ritual, imprisonment, constant propaganda, right? The Chinese and the so-called Japanese, or the Nihonese, used like torture, herbs, mutilation, you know, organ harvesting. This is why this is not a new thing that they were doing. This is what they did to maintain or build their society. The so-called Incas and Mayas, they dealt with potions, herbs, skin carving, tattoos, and sacrifice. You know, mostly of animals. A lot of what they're telling people about the Native Americans, like Apocalypto and all of that, a lot of that stuff is Europeanized. And a lot of that is based on the history of the people that basically came after the so-called European intrusion, you know, and were in some ways reduced to that form of barbarity. But prior to that, it wasn't to the scale that these people said, because if it was, there'd be nobody in the civilization if they was killing people the way that they put on TV. You know what I'm saying? In India, they had things like Tantra, oils, Kama Sutra, blood ritual, sacrifice. American Indians, or so-called natives, or so-called dark aboriginals of America, American Hemisphere, had things like body paint, piercing, drumming, tobacco, weed, rituals, you know, things like that. So in Salamanca, all of these different techniques from the breadth of the empire were brought together and codified and condensed, and a certain group of Moors came with a certain ideology or magical way of thinking. But the purpose of them at the time was to preserve what was left of the decaying Moorish empire that had been basically waning since, you know, really in Granada it started getting bad around the late 900s, you know, with things like with Castile and Aragon and things like that, which were basically tributary states that paid us, who paid us a ransom to sustain themselves. You see, so by this time that we're talking in Salamanca, the hidden or high priests of all of these different aspects got together and put all of their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding together in the form of these codexes, and all of these different things were put into being. You know, they had a thing called the Law of Fives, which is now been used by the so-called powers that be. I don't like to call them the I word, because that's too passe. The so-called powers that be, they dealt with the Law of Fives, which is chaos, discord, confusion, bureaucracy, and the aftermath. You see? So, in the terms of breaking down the society in the 1100s that was coming into view, which was this amalgamated Christian mercenary Arab contingent, they were working together to destabilize the so-called black Moorish national states. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, these means of breaking down these foreign governments is what they were used for. These Moors in history became known as the Hashemites when they later left, when Salamanca was destroyed around the mid-1300s, and they moved to the highlands of what we now would call parts of Afghanistan as well as Iran. And they were turned into a mercenary force that taught the ways of taking over empires and states and things like that through occult means. And these Hashemites, or assassins as they came to be known, taught this to a Shriner type of order, French order, that came in our time to be known as the Templars. And they carried that over to the Crusades, which allowed them to hold Jerusalem as long as they did, up until 750 A.D. when Saladin, peace be upon him, came through and shut everything down. So from that point on, all of these forms of manipulation became known as statecraft. And this statecraft became the basis of all foreign policy. And then foreign policy became foreign relations. You see what I'm saying? And then the foreign relation now then goes into foreign associations, which then leads to foreign corporations, which then comes to foreign takeover, which is what has been going on in all of these different countries throughout the world. So all of the stuff the CIA and all these guys are doing, this is stuff that they inherited from us. But we done forgot how the tricks work, and therefore we are subject, well, not us, but a lot of people are subject to it. Therefore, when we get into things like, in my opinion, when we get into things like black history, being that this is Black History Month, when we get into so-called, more science, Islamic history, Kemet history, Rasta history, 5% history, all of these different histories, they all have a through line that connect them, because the people who founded these things all were contemporaries of each other when it was going down, which is why they all are contemporaries of each other now in the ionosphere, which is where allegedly, according to certain arcane books, is where these souls or these spirits are said to inhabit, which coincidentally is where a lot of the satellites and shit is at. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So again, it's all, everything is everything, and it's all to keep everybody thinking in what they call 3 points of entry, which is hereditary, or things that come from heraldry, as well as heredity, which is number one. And then 2 would be prior knowledge, meaning understanding what happened beforehand, and then having money. So those people who have the money have no knowledge, and those people who have the knowledge have no money. That's how the thing works. So being that we know that's how it works, what we individually have to do, I think, before we even come together, is figure out how we're going to make that aspect of it work for us while we're physical, so that way when we transcend this and become non-physical, we don't come back and get caught up in the same espionage tricks, because we already did that when we was in Salamanca. You know what I'm saying? Which they ain't telling you about. So don't be surprised if you go on History Channel now and they start talking about this shit and they start making movies about this shit, because this is what they do. They follow what we doing. It's us. We kept, again, Lil Wayne out of jail. And I didn't really care. I'm just saying, I'm just using that as the psychic example of the energy of the people believing that the Saints came marching in, which coincidentally is when he's going to jail. In New Year. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, let's play the joint, which is your joint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, let's hear this stuff. This shit is hot.
Coming out on a mixtape I'm going to be releasing next month, once again,
That's what's up.
So, I hope the people like it. And let's go into it. It's called Exhibit M.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Islam to the brother Jay. Sorry, just had to do it. Peace to my brothers, Maury and Nello, Aseer. Islam to Grand Sheikh, Jelani Bey. Islam to my brother Tariq Bey. Islam to Sabir Bey. Red pill, blue pill. King, I see you. Please don't try to confuse, understand, not comprehend it. This is for the adept, this is not for no apprentice. Sitting on my throne, feds on my head, rocking on my room, never forget what the noble said. Study yourself, after that study some more. 2 plus 1 equals 3, 3 plus 1 equals 4, 4 plus 4 equals 8, 8 plus 8, 16, 6 plus 1 equals 7. That means God in my life, and he don't rise like bread, that's unleavened. Something between hell, purgatory, and heaven. Now peep the session, In the hood they got killers and shooters, showing hand signs and gang signs that look like mooches. During bang time they hang like and move like computers. They don't understand it's happening in the ancient or the script. Go from Arabic to Amharic, right back to Sanskrit. You can understand this and I can understand this. No matter if we talking in Ladino or Spanish. Might be more Latin when it starts to happen. Left side talking to the right. Aye, Captain. Now peace. That's both sides of your lobe. That's both sides of the globe. Now you in tune with your soul. They building better battleships, but you can conquer continuously. Well, as casualties using candlesticks. Blow out the light, blow out a light. Poof, that's a magic trick. You understand this shit? Take it from Noble Drew to Marcus to Malcolm to Lao Tzu. No kung fu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Yeah, that's more than likely. Yeah, that's more than.
Yeah. That was what's up. That's I like that. People don't make records like that no more.
All right.
That's
So,
what's up. Yeah, man. Tonight it was a great it's been a great New Year thus far, you know, for me personally, because I was able to locate just today, praise be to the ancestors, where my son is at. You know what I'm saying? And those who know me personally know that a couple of years ago he was abducted. Him and his sister was abducted by their moms. You know, after years of going through the so-called family court system in Brooklyn, and anybody who's been through anything like that knows that, well, just the family court system alone, anybody knows me or has seen my work knows I did a tape on it, a lecture on it called Family Court Revisited, where, you know, I went into aspects of what happened to me personally, as well as what the overall thing taught me, which was or is how and what it functions on, you know, and that in terms of law, if we're speaking in a form of jurisprudence as well as or in a form of truth, you cannot take a family to court, because the word family or the idea of family is something that cannot be quantified in anything man-made, because it is man-made. You know what I'm saying? Like, lawfully, you cannot be the subject and the object of something. So anyone who brings anybody to court is giving up their own sovereignty to an entity that then takes financial as well as physical possession of themselves and the, say, property that comes with that. The property in instances such as this becomes then the child or the children, who are then used as pledges or debt pledges, or let's say mortgage-based securities or mortgage-backed securities that were hedge-funded into toxic assets, right? That were adjudicated by people like, again, the Secretary of Treasury, you know, who is a crook, you know, not because I say so, but because everybody who benefited from the banking thing and everything was tied into the drug thing through the Clinton Bush thing, you know. People can go to sites like whatdoesitmean.com and, you know, the usual stuff. I don't want to get into, just to get into, like, details. I want to get into the overall point. And essentially what happens is the monetary value that is seen as the child, right, becomes the battlefield for all of the parties involved to attain. Because whoever attains the child attains what is considered a perfect bond. You know, it's already been perfected because the child has not done anything. Therefore, on a magical or spiritual level, it's about obtaining innocent souls to feed a machine based on the destruction and the maintaining of that destruction of darker families. So I was brought, right? So in that now, I become a willing and unwilling participant in this agenda. And the basis that I was brought on, like I'm not going to read the court briefs and shit, but when you read this shit, I was really brought there because I was telling the boy that he descends from noble people and and that God was within and that his soul was very precious to him. Things like that. Yet that is what the papers and things like that say. When you get into the root of it in the interpersonal relationship now I'm dealing with feelings, let's say, of betrayal and anger and separation anxiety and isolation, right? And then she's dealing with things like maintaining, you know, a lie, finding ways to make the situation more strenuous, right? Keep the child not in, I don't want to say in fear of me, but keep the child in a state where they always want to come back home, you know. Not saying that the child should feel anything. My view in the whole thing is that the child should feel what the child feels. Yet we shouldn't play influence peddlers on this child's perception, right? Yet when you are in the so-called family court, if you don't, let's say, try to claim the child, right, you are seen as you are not a willing participant in the child's thing. So basically the whole thing is based on perception. So there are some men, right, who are so out of control in their own perception of themselves, or they're so in fear of always being confronted with the version of themselves that is now physical, right, being the child. They either isolate themselves from the child or only fuck with the child, or only fuck with the child and get the mother. You know what I mean? That type of man is the type of man that's supposed to be in places like that. You understand? Because that type of man is under again, mind control, because he believes he's something that he isn't, right? Yet men who are actively there, right? I met more men who were actively involved in their children's lives over the 5 years I was in the whole process, who were actively there where the mothers wouldn't even be there. The mothers would do shit like send their mother, like send, or just not show up. My baby mother attacked. I'm in court, and the judge asking me where she at, right? And my wife is coming from work, and my baby mother attacks her. Again, I got the court records and all that to prove all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But again, doing things to make the situation even more intense. You understand what I'm saying? She didn't have to do that, but she did. So again, what am I dealing with? I'm not just dealing now with the family court. I got to deal with not only the perception that the court has of me already, right, which is false assumed jurisdiction, but I have to deal with the fact that they're going to allow her to be savage, to force me in a situation. Let's say, well, I do some crazy shit to her, and then I wind up locked down, and then they get my bond for 30 years. You see? So these are the things that original man is dealing with. Then on the other hand, you got the women, right, who don't know what else to do, because this dude, it seems like everybody around him is supporting his shit. Yet at the same time, the more she doesn't say, the more this dude will say. You see what I'm saying? To allow his reality to be sustained by other people who are doing the same shit to their women. You see? So essentially what we're really talking about is not only a failure to communicate, we're talking about a total breakdown of the family structure, not only in the 85 community, but in the so-called conscious and aware community, that we have no means of all dealing with, because none of us want to be that vulnerable and open to anybody else that's not in a relationship, which is understandable, because everybody else that's not in a relationship has their own reason why they want to be involved in this shit. Because don't nobody want to see a black man and black woman together.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
black Russian TV.
Especially, exactly, son. Tell them about that Russian shit, son.
Yeah, they did a spot on a Russian television channel, which Russia, I believe, has a 1% population of, original people, but they did a whole series on single black women, or so-called black women in the United States corporation, and their dealings with original men and trying to find original men, or other men, for that fact, but the fact of that matter. But they were basically going in on the whole dynamic of the relationships between original men and original women. One sister, she was college educated, she had a master's degree and whatnot, and she was, I don't want to say desperate, but she was, she loved, the original man. Her father, she said, she described her father as a, tall, dark, and handsome original man. She said she couldn't see herself with nobody else but an original man. But, she was so lost in the wilderness, so to speak, that, or caught up in different types of relationships so much that she was trying to get with a brother that was over 30 years her senior.
Yeah, that's the new shit. That's the new shit, yo. That's the new shit. They doing that. They call it call it sugar daddy. Yeah, son. The white man got a name for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Name it and create it, but it was just real ill to see that, a Russian, television station in a country where, as they broadcast it, has a population that's about 1%, a population of about 1% of original people are, basically giving a, so-called bird's eye view into the dynamics of the original family, or lack thereof. Original family.
Mhm. I agree. But let me tell you again, this is why history is so important, man. Feminism started by Caucasian women from a public eye, but from a private end, it was funded by members of so-called captains of industry, as well as homosexuals within the intelligence community. And their little secret boys clubs and stuff, they got together and they decided that the way to combat women's suffrage that had been going on from the beginning of the 1900s was to fund their own women's movement that would have a masculine undertone, which would then turn women into masculine men.
Mm-hmm.
So Gloria Steinem, who was a Playboy bunny and mind-controlled sex slave from the age of 2, was chosen when one of the directors was at a party at Hugh Hefner's, in which they took the picture of her that I showed in What the F lecture. And what she did was she was groomed by the company and turned into this ultra-feminist to pattern herself after women like Angela Davis and the wife of Fred Hampton. Angela Davis at the same time was being covertly handled by members of what would come to be known as the Symbionese army that kidnapped Patty Hearst. That's another story. Anyway, this dude, the guy from Playboy, Hefner, he gave a assignment to him or to them, and then they turned into this proletariat type woman. So they used the tail end of the civil rights movement that was really initiated by the Panthers to a certain degree, the militant stance and militant end of it. They basically melded both the Panther version and the nonviolent version, which was the Malcolm version and the Martin version, into the tail end of what came to be known as Afrocentrism. See, I can't even say this shit. That became known as African American culture. You see, then being that blacks were now satisfied because they were now the ones with all the city jobs and everything else, right? And all the white folks moved from the suburbs to, further out the country or further up to Canada and stuff. They now were in control of the city and the state governments, but they basically, because they was Boule and stuff, they never really brought the people up with them. They just maintained the status quo. So feminism took the residual energy of the Black Power movement and convinced black women that they would have more progress within the corporate structure as the nannies and the maids for the white woman. So the black woman believed it, left her kids home, and they all rushed out and with the baby boomer generation, and then they became the working girls, right? And then they basically used the feminism as a means to then make the woman castigate the man, which is the rituals of burning the bras and the dildo parties and the Avon and the Mary Kay and all of that type of extra feminist stuff that had a hint of like European school teacher, with the ruler, on the low, like the Sarah Palin type. That type of Mary Poppins, that whole ideology of the white woman really doing it for herself. But then now that was the theme in the 80s. Then in the 90s it was the white woman. Now that she had the family and everything, she was upset that she was a grandmother. Now in the 2000s, she's now having sex with the younger kid. You see what I'm saying? Which again, right, she's the cougar. So the further away she moves away from the family structure, the more savage she became, or the more open to whatever, and then she had to accept now. See, the feminism thing was the way into the gay thing. And now the gay thing is into the way into the anything goes thing. Like I just seen the thing on Boxer where they had a dog suckling from a woman's breast, a white woman's breast. It's like that now. Like they, they next level with it. They don't even care. So the child, again, getting back to the family court, the child now is the subject of all of this animus that's going on around it. So the more I tried, in my situation, the more I didn't give attention, the more extreme it got, to the point this chick would make me pick them up from the precinct. You know what I mean? Like bugging, like doing that shit straight for like a year. And me not even really coming in close to her, just me just having to stand in front of there, and then he would run to me and then we would leave. I didn't even want him to be in it, But this is stuff that she is petitioning the man to do. You see? And then the other one came behind her, and then at one time they worked in tandem until it all came out in court, what was really going on between them, and then it was all kind of deaded, And then it was about, okay, now that it's deaded, let me have this established relationship. And then it was like, no. And then it was like, boom, they gone. So then I go back to the man and say, look, your subjects is wilding. They done took the kids and everything. You gotta go get them. It's like, okay, well, I'll do that, but if I do that, I gotta give up all of the, let's say, fiduciary, the fiduciary component to the whole thing for the past 5 years that they now owe me, that they know that they owe me. You see? So this is like Nas, like this nigga is paying this chick 70 G's a month, and she's in the red carpet dressed like Baphomet, son. She dressed like a straight goat, son. She got hooks on and everything, son, with a spiked crown and everything. These black women have lost their mind, and I say them because they are everybody's crazy. How about that? How about the man is just as crazy as the woman, and the woman is just as crazy as the man? Can we all agree on that? Can we all agree that the whole situation is so out of control that children, that you have white folk flying to Haiti to steal babies and bring them back to America to put them in rituals of satanic shit?
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for the energy of the time and the amount of dead ancestors in the vicinity, they would have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
If this was 2003, you'd have never heard about them babies.
Nope.
You got niggas from the Sudan, you got niggas from Mali, you got niggas from the Djibouti, you got people in the Midwest, in Montana, they be flying these brothers, these 9-foot Africans and stuff out. You don't believe me? Get a movie called I Heart Huckabees.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This nigga's in the family, straight Sudanese Moor. Got this nigga named Sam, I think, and he's a doorman, right? he's a Christian with these white people. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
How come ain't no black people adopt these white babies, huh?
Remember the joint we seen with all the white families in the Midwest adopting all these, like, 14, 15, 18-year-old Africans?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
And guess what? Not even a pressure wisdom, G. Guess what? I'm of the opinion that it does matter that they are not raised with black people. You know why? Because if a Jewish person had their choice to have a baby that was raised by a Jew or a Gentile, they would choose the Jew.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would be upset with that. Yeah. Nobody would have a problem with that. So again, you can disapprove or not agree, but you can't agree that what I'm saying is not true. You just have to agree. You just have to disagree with the fact that either I'm saying it or you just are choosing not to believe it. But it's the truth. This is what's happening. They are eating black people. They are cutting up black people. They are putting them in horrible states of mind. They are putting white people in the same thing.
Yeah.
How do you want me to send my child to school when you got children that's driving the Buick through the window and keep going? You heard about that shit?
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. This is what's going on.
You know, when
this is white people doing this.
They got teachers in lesbian teachers in classrooms having sex while the students is around.
That's all based on feminism. So thank you, Gloria Steinem, who, by the way, is married to Christian Bale's father, who seduced him from his mother. She got a man. She done came out and retracted all of that feminist shit. She said, I don't know what these bitches are talking about. They crazy. Whoopi and them is bugging. You need a man.
So, you listen to music.
I was going through a phase. This is what this bitch going through a phase.
You know, within in popular culture, you got you know, the Beyoncés and all that telling girls you don't need a man. You know, go and patch your weave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, patch your weave, man. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And again, again, this is factual shit. I was watching CNN and they had the Black America too, the whole series. They had on the one that I watched. It was all about the bootleg, and it was all about how they shepherd their children and how they tell their children that they shouldn't use race as an advantage or an advantage. This is what this black woman said. She said you shouldn't use race as an advantage or a disadvantage. Like what? Tell me this white man don't think like that, and you work for him. So what are you talking about? You work for this dude, and you talking some crazy shit, and none of them had locks. There was no red, black, and green. There was none. It's called a black tie, tuxedo ball, and this is where they all meet. Just like the Skull and Bones did in the movie Good Shepherd. It's the same system because it's based again, from Henry Minton, and Henry Minton came from the Sigma Pi thing, and he was the only one of the few when they was letting minorities in. They let him in, and they let the dude who the Good Shepherd was about, Jesus James Angleton. They let him in too. He was a Mexican and Catholic, and they let him in. So again, this is what it's about. So they pattern their whole thing after that. So their whole thing is about the white man is God. This is what they believe. So if you in this, if you a Greek or you in any of these different organizations, and you are really serious about it, man, really do the research on what you joining, because eventually they're going to try to make you have sex with somebody. That's eventually what it's going to boil down to. That's just what they do. That's how they maintain. That is what's the tie that binds. This is what they mean. They're not talking about the cable tow. You already did that. They're not talking about the Tyler. You already met him. They're not talking about all of that. They're talking about, they're talking about you having sex with me and you become my soulmate. Where do you think the word soulmate came from? That shit didn't exist in the 1500s. People wasn't calling each other their soulmate. They wasn't doing that. That only started after circa 1899, man. This is all the new old time that don't exist no more, and it's done. Yeah. So essentially, that's what I was saying with the baby monster thing, where I played it in the beginning, because that's some of the stuff that came out. That was my experience. They became monstrous at times where I went through 2 years where I didn't look either one of them in the face. I wouldn't give them my eyes. And what I watched was the deterioration as opposed to them. Because again, it takes a toll on the woman to do this to a man and her children for spite or for money or for whatever. You have certain women that are just not supportable. You have certain women that just get off on breaking a person. You have certain women who have been psychologically, like in my situation, I found out, or I started to remember things that I would see when I was with my baby mother in the years when it was all good. And those little signs that I just put aside for my own areas. I'm just not dealing with it. I'm like this, so she like this too. Which is stupid. But that's also a male thing. And because we don't have no rites of passage and I couldn't really talk to nobody else that I was around in that time, in that situation. Because again, you have people who again are just dealing with a sexual thing. So it's like, and then you have some women who are the opposite, who are trying to do everything except take their baby father to court. Don't want to fuck with him, don't want nothing, just want him to be with the kid. And he was doing everything to maintain it. So really what we're talking about is two women. We're not talking about the man as a man. We're talking about the man dealing from a feminine perspective because of ego, which is now reduces intelligence, because when the ego is invoked, it reduces the amount of, let's say, spiritual excretion of serotonin from the brain, right? And it deals with it, and it comes out denser and thicker, right? Which means that you're not dealing from a higher perspective. You're dealing from a perspective now of just maintaining your immediate surroundings. So you're not even looking at the long-term effects of what's happening, which goes against the very idea of being a man, in my opinion. So in my case, God be granted, I was able to find just today, where he was at. So now it's about, being real and seeing how much damage was done between 2004 and 2010. You see? To the point where I would see relatives of his in the street, and they would do everything to not tell me where he is on purpose. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I raised these babies. You know what I'm saying? These women can say what they want about me personally, but as a father, it was to the point where sometimes they would call me mom. Again, me not realizing how far in I'm going, that I'm stepping almost outside my role. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How one person in a relationship that's crazy makes the relationship crazy. Mm-hmm. So again, I can admit that we are all fucked up, to keep it real, excuse me. So what do we do? You know, my real question is, okay, now that, you know, we know that it's all messed up, that this is what's going to happen, what are we going to do? How are we going to like, I'm not trying to do certain things that I went through 5 years ago through this whole situation, you know. But then aside from me personally, what do you do as a man when your baby is taken from you and you're doing everything to find it? Or what do you do as a woman when the man will do everything but do what he's supposed to do for the child? Not even for you, but for the child. Like, these are two pertinent questions that affect us all. Because if we could deal with them two, I figure, okay, that's two. Then we start just going through a list. Like, we almost have to create a detox program for all of the trauma that we have suffered thus far. Individually as well as collectively.
Yeah.
I think. I don't give a damn what you are. I don't give a damn what you call yourself, how you, whatever. If you about the black family, I'm down with you. And when I say the black family, I'm talking about the original people, black man, so-called black man, black woman, Moorish man, Moorish woman, dark man, dark woman, you know, dark matter, dark energy. I'm talking about them, you know, and everybody else who come out of them. So again, that means everybody. You see what I'm saying? But because I focus on the halo, let's say, or the ethereal, the true self, and not just the physical self, you see what I'm saying? I can be then construed in one of the little boxes, like conspiracy theorists or race card, or, you know, all of these terms that black people then gave life to. You know what I'm saying? To box their own language in, to let these white folk tell them how they feel and everything else. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I can be long-winded when I'm going in on this because, you know, children matter, man. And in my experience, a lot of people have totally written the children off. So we gonna open it up.
Okay, so we're going to go to the phone line. If you want to call in, the number is 347-637-1184. You want to call in and, you know, if you have a question or a comment, or, you know, you want to build on the topic of the day. So first we're going to go to 757-369. You're on Air with Super Heru Radio. Hello?
Peace. Yeah, this is the subject of the family situation, but I wanted to know, is there a connection between the Large Hadron Collider, the Atom Smasher, and the Philadelphia experiment?
Yes, that's a good question, brother. Thank you for calling in. Yes, the connection in my research, again, is the fact that the doctor who was in charge, right, his son was then put in charge of the Philadelphia experiment. Mm-hmm. His name eludes me right now, but they all come from a guy who came over during Operation Paperclip named Professor von Neumann. And he was basically in both experiments. The only thing with the Hadron Collider is the purpose of which was the purpose of the Philadelphia experiment was deliberate, but the result was an accident. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Hadron Collider was deliberate and the end was uncontrollable. So in the Philadelphia experiment, they were trying to figure out invisibility, but they wound up transmoding from one, let's say, dimension, this dimension, into the real dimension, and then back, which is why when they came back, a lot of people were fused to the things and all of that.
Right.
Whereas in Hadron Collider, they were trying to create a baby black hole, which essentially is a baby universe, and cage it, and try to find ways to use it to power things, such as time machines and all of that type of stuff. More quantum technology. You know, Philadelphia experiment was more like gray technology, whereas the Hadrian stuff was more like quantum, dark physics technology.
Is there a connection with the Philadelphia experiment to Aleister Crowley?
Yeah, him, L. Ron Hubbard, and Jack Parsons did a ritual to invoke. Excuse me. Hello?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they did a ritual to invoke an entity they called the Harlot of Babylon. And they all basically worked together on the deck of the ship. The ritual took place on the deck of the ship. And popped it off. And in that, they were able to evoke what they call a magical child or a moon child, which came later as an entity. Because what they'll do is they want to, like, redheads are very prized in the white thing. You could tell who's in charge based on what color the hair is. If it's blonde and all that, then it's straight Jewish, German, Nazi, Zionist. You know, if it's redhead, then it's more like Scottish, Irish, you know, Eastern European. You know, if it's brunette and all of that, it's more like Russian. You know what I'm saying? White folk categorize everything like that, especially their old culture. So essentially, the redheads now are being used. They call them gingers. They use the redheads as sex slaves, psychic sex slaves, because they allegedly have some type of psychic technology. That's why, like, Phoenix was a redhead in the X-Men, you know, and what's her name was a redhead. There's always a woman in a red dress in a movie. You know what I mean? That's all a Scarlet Woman. That's the entity that they evoked. So whoever's dressing like that, in that red dress, and with that red lipstick, in the red, you know what I'm saying, are invoking that entity. You know what I'm saying? The lady in red, the woman in red. There's always a red chick in something.
Right.
Because that was the entity, the Harlot of Babylon, that was invoked in this thing called the Babylon, a magical thing called the Babylon working, which is a satanic version of voodoo and Palo rituals.
All right.
Thanks for calling, brother.
All right,
Thank you for calling, brother. Peace. Okay, 404-447.
Yeah, hello, what's up?
Peace.
Hey, what's up, King Hotep?
Oh man, it's an honor to speak with you, brothers. But I just had two quick questions. You know, I often hear you speak about, you know, you read about, you know, these bohemian groves where they doing all these sacrifices or whatever to these different entities. You know, I was more so curious, you know, because I kind of grew up with a Yoruba background, so I was wondering, you know, when you had like these deities like the Shango or in Kemet, Heru, or you know, Aseer or Obatala, and we worship these particular deities. I was wondering, you know, what are we actually doing, and pretty much what are they actually doing? It's like we do things, but we never really get the full grasp or understanding of it. So I was just pretty much wanting your take on it.
Thank you for that question, brother. That's very, very pertinent. What you have realized is something that people have not realized in the past 150 years of practice since those systems were brought over, you know, with Manahochi and then got amalgamated with the Caucasian practice. When the Caucasian people started practicing it, the whole thing started getting diluted, you know what I'm saying, or when they were allowed to. So what the high priest did was they hid a lot of the dark entities, and a lot of those dark entities went into things like Palo. You know what I'm saying, which is the sister, as well as Palo, as well as Santissima Muerte, as well as, you know, voodoo, things like that, as well as the Satan thing. You know what I mean? Satanism, because they weren't being worshipped in the way that they became accustomed, some of them jumped ship and actually went to a lot of the satanic gatherings to give them power because they were at least understanding, but because we were totally lost touch with that and were now forcibly converted to Christianity, we no longer honored them. So gods and goddesses that are not honored passed to oblivion, you know, and rather than face oblivion, they chose to join the demiurge. Some of them chose to join the demiurge, which is the non-physical entity that permeates everything in this reality, and ultimately everybody is giving energy to, that knows that it is passing from one existence into a real existence and it can no longer exist. So the breakdown of things around you is really a symbol of the breakdown of reality itself. You know what I mean? Therefore, the restructuring of the reality cannot be based on the old ideology, which is you worship this deity and you invoke them for them to inhabit you, and that's it. You see what I'm saying? Whereas the white boys, when they invoke these demonic entities, they put these entities to work. They put them out there. The entity, you know how many demons is in George Bush? He don't have a mind. His mind is constant chatter, constant demonic energy, and the most aggressive and the most dominant then has the control of the body, and then that dominant one is then given the agenda. So what you have done, based on the fact that you know that Aseer is Obatala and Shango is Heru, and you know what I'm saying, you know that. So you've already made the cosmic leap or the quantum leap to the universal grouping and mapping of how these images all become one within you. Therefore, you don't need to worship anymore because your words have already shifted you to the next reality. The reality now is to know that these entities, when you invoke them, exist within your central nervous system because they can only exist in this reality with your help. Therefore, their energy, coupled with your individual energy given to you and us and them by the Creator, allows them to exist or them to empower you to bring them more into your life in the form of the works that you do in their name.
And I guess that's where we end up having the superhero or the superheroes.
That's right. That's us, brother. That's us. We are the superheroes that are here to make this thing happen because everybody else is caught up in the ego and trying to create personality cults and all of that. I never set out to do that, and I'm sure you have not because we talking. You know, you mind attack mind. You know, so thanks for calling, man.
Oh, man, thanks for answering my question, and I just wanted to continue to listen, but I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that too, King. Peace.
Peace. Okay, 718-744. You're on Superhero Radio. Peace. Peace. Hello?
Peace. Can you turn your radio down?
Hello?
Peace. Hey.
Hello?
Peace. Peace. Can you hear me?
Yeah, peace, man. Yeah, what's up, y'all? First of all, that track was dope, man. But, yeah,
thank you.
With black nationalism, man. Like, yes, I'm from Brooklyn too, man. Flatbush, you know. I deal with a lot of offset stuff. But it's good to have all this knowledge and all that stuff. But I don't really see us engaging in many black nationalism, you know, following up on, you know, old Marcus Garvey stuff and stuff like that. So I want to know, when do y'all think, I know it's been a lot of talks about it, but when do you think a real push is going to really take place?
Thank you for that wisdom and that question, brother, and for calling. In my opinion, I think that the pinnacle of that was the time that has inspired us to be so-called black nationalists. You know, I think the pinnacle of that was the times of the Fred Hamptons and, you know, the closest we came back to that was the Tupac era. You know, they basically incorporated black nationalism into the corporate agenda. Mm-hmm. So what we understand as black nationalism or what we want it to be is not what it is. Mm-hmm. What it is, most times, in my experience in these years, has been a lot of niggas talking about what they're going to do and about what we should do. And a lot of these dudes is paid just to do that, you know. And essentially, they are now at the time where they all being outed. Look at Ray Hagan. Look at Tim Geithner. Look at how Ali Muhammad just put out this thing about who killed Khalid. Like we lived through that. Mm-hmm. Those of us in the conscious community were affected by that. There was a lot of us that sat in those lectures. Got a lot of these rappers that's putting fezzes and shit on these black Boule Masons who are going to let them themselves become minstrels because they know they damn well ain't really going to do shit with that shit when none of them niggas was there. You know what I'm saying? So we are now at a critical moment in which everybody that's not really about what black nationalism is really about, which is dark matter consciousness to me, and that consciousness is you're going to maintain what it is to be an original man regardless of who or what. Everybody that's down with that, I'm down with. I don't give a damn what you call yourself, what school of thought you came from. If you were trying to control me, if you were telling me I got to cut my hair, if you're telling me that I can't eat this, if you're telling me any of that, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to reach you in peace and build with you, but I'm not going to join you. You know, it begins now. Now it's to the point where we got to show who we're going to do individually, which then is going to inspire and translate into the species mind pattern, and hopefully everybody get on board. But niggas is still letting cops kill them.
Niggas is still killing each
still
other.
Talking this black nationalism shit, going and marching, making tapes about shit, ain't doing nothing, ain't talking to the people directly. You know what I'm saying? But thank you for calling, brother.
All right, brother.
Peace, King.
347-295.
Yeah.
On Super Heru Radio. Peace.
All right, peace, God.
Peace.
Peace. Just call him Kashi bought 4 Bay from the train. I don't know if you remember me that day. A while back, but yeah. I'm just calling in regards to a personal problem I'm having.
Okay.
It's with the females, kind of. I'm dealing with a female in my school, right? I met her at the bus stop, kick it off. She's supposedly conscious, whatever. So I'm kicking it with her. We talking, we building, and she hit me with a bomb. She said she go to the club and she hit a nigga. You know what I mean? She did her thing with another dude. But yeah, she was feeling me at the same time. She was leading me on like she was conscious. But yeah, she did something like unconscious or so-called conscious. So my whole thing is that how do I you know, I'm looking for a counterpart too, because I'm only 20 years old and I'm now getting to the knowledge myself. People tell me, yo, forget about her and just build up to yourself. But like, you know, like I feel like there's something there with her, but I think she got like an alter, like a sidekick to her, like, you know, like another part to her.
Yeah. Like yeah, I dig it. Nah, that's real. That's real.
Exactly.
You gotta know
Exactly. She got an alter. Exactly.
Yeah, and then I'm
100% like, correct.
Yeah, I'm really trying. Like, I really like her, but like I know, like she not with me all. First I gotta build myself up. You know what I mean? I know I gotta build myself up, but I think I see potential in her to come with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like she got no like little like the 85s be, you know, talking their shit to her, whatever, that perma here and all that other shit.
Right.
But
well,
what's your take on that though? Like,
my thing. Thanks for calling, brother. And
definitely.
in my opinion, you know, water find it. My grandma used to say water find its own level, which means that you already know inherently that she's cheated on you.
Yeah.
The question is, are you the type of man that can get over that? See what I'm saying? If you can get over that and forgive her, you now have to trust that she is the type of woman who can honor that forgiveness and not betray you again. But remember, she is in a climate of women who believe Beyonce is a positive role model and believes that being with a white man is okay, or that it's more important to be to exercise and prove that men are under women. There are a lot of, like, if I'd have known, in my personal opinion, if I'd have did the knowledge that my baby mother was a product of the MK Ultra program and the product of abuse, you know what I mean, I'd have took it more seriously than just consoling her. You know, like nowadays, if you're going to get in, you have to understand you're dealing with generational programming that has now been degraded. Because even a lot of the grandmothers don't even know what they used to know. And they're not telling these women nothing. And these women are patterning themselves after women who generationally have been hating them, you see. So nowadays, if you're going to get with a chick, you need to ask the real questions up front. You know, are you a man? Are you really a woman? Were you ever a man? You know, are you human? Have you ever been tested for things? Like, you gotta really get in. You gotta really get in, because a woman that's really serious is gonna answer them questions to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a woman that's gonna laugh it off and acting like you bugging for asking is a bitch that done already done her thing too much. Women, again, have put themselves in the idea that they can be with 100 and 200 men, and it's all good.
Yeah, man, definitely, man.
That's because women have no idea how their body works. We as men know more about the woman body than the women do. Because the women, a lot of us, more than women would give us credit for. Because women are taught not to give men credit for nothing. Women are taught to castigate men and make them into feminine women based on feminism, based on, again, mind control programming. So we're not even talking about us. We're talking about shit that happened to us again. You see what I'm saying? So because it's all psychological, which is used to distract energy from the spiritual, you see what I'm saying? You now, the physical brother who's seeking to elevate himself, are now going to be wrought with women of negative intentions to see if you're serious about your own commitment. So now, the woman, you got to find a woman, inshallah, who has her own consciousness that's really not just talking it, but that's living it. Don't believe nothing nobody say. Look at what they doing. These niggas is out here doing mad tapes, and you don't never see them with their family. Something's wrong. If these niggas is out here, if these women is out here and they telling you, oh, well, you know, I work for the library, whatever, but you don't never see them read nothing, something wrong. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
So women never get caught cheating, son. They only get caught if they want you to, and that by that time they don't already felt like they done with you. You know what I'm saying? So now they just rubbing your face in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
This is the type of shit that our mothers were supposed to tell us, but our mothers never told us this stuff. Because they was women, and they was down with keeping niggas stupid about it. Because they was hating on whatever happened or didn't happen with our pops. And our pops was to whatever that he was doing to really be there to, at least mom was, you know, really there to, they only really came to get credit for shit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And these are the rites of passages we had, whereas in Africa, these niggas is running in the woods with you know, bags full of rocks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the rites of passages we go through. But at least with them, they still got their own language. With us, it's diluted. But you going to work it out, brother. Thanks for calling, man.
Yo, man, thank you, man. Peace.
Yeah, peace. No doubt, peace.
901-319. You're on Super Heru Radio. Hello.
Peace. How y'all brothers doing?
Peace.
I'm calling from, I'm good, bro. I'm calling from Memphis 10, man, deep in the heart of,
right.
you know how I go down here, but
I
just, I had some things on my mind, man. I was wondering if you're familiar with, like, the structures in the Yucatan Peninsula at all.
Yes, sir.
And
like in La Venta and places like that.
Yeah, and I was wondering what you thought about that, as well as, you know, they have on top of the El Castillo Pyramid, they have this structure of a man. He's sitting in like some sort of position, almost like reclining. And they call him Shak Mool, which I thought was interesting because of the spelling. Shak is C-H-A-C, and Mool is M-O-O-L, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And one other thing, this cat down in Florida, man, did the Coral Castle. You heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was interested in what you thought about those things in particular.
Thank you for calling, brother. Real quick, all of that, if you overlay La Venta and the Yucatan Peninsula, and you overlay that with the basin in Spain, it basically is like the same geography, you know. Wow. And what that means is that essentially the same people that was there. That's why the Castillos and the Aragons were able to go and build with the art and take over that Olmec culture, because they were seizing Moorish lands abroad that they had no idea existed up until the point that the Moors were expelled and were integrating when the Moors were expelled in Spain, what happened over here was that all of those Moors became independent states again. And then we didn't come together again until the time of what they call the Iroquois Confederacy, or what we would now call which was really the Continental Congress.
Yeah.
And then we set up a federal thing to deal with what the rest of the world was dealing with while we got the internal thing straight. But then what happened was the federal thing overtook the republic thing and turned it into a corporate thing, which is now a satanic thing. So essentially, all of that. There's a book you could get called Unexplained Faces in Ancient America or the New World, I forget. But it's by a German guy named Alexander von Wuthenau. And it would be good to check out. There's another book you could get called When Nations Gather by a guy named Sultan Abdul Latif. He's dope. But yeah, man, thanks for calling.
No doubt, man. Peace, bro.
Peace.
202-506.
What's up? How's everybody doing? What's up? How's everybody doing?
Peace.
There are a number of things. There's a number of things that are like on my heart. I actually feel a little bit better since listening to this radio program. I thank y'all for that, for doing the work. We have to understand, number one, that there is a common denominator, and there is a group of people who seek to eradicate us off the face of the fucking earth. That's the first thing.
That's true.
But getting to that step, we have to parallel and counter everything. We have to understand that if there are black women who parade white men, or black women who parade other women, or black dudes who, anything that they're doing, we have to counter. Men have to take responsibility, honor your woman in public, make that chick look like the flyest thing since, like, parade her around, just like they do. Little things like this are really simple things. We have to understand that we have to support one another on every level, and we have to make things look cool again. Like, I am a quote-unquote whatever scholar, intellect, and it's funny, it's crazy the number of people who judge me because of the way that I talk, not knowing my politics, damn sure not understanding where I'm coming from. And these are the types of things that you have to, I understand coming in that these people are victims of white supremacy. So they're brainwashed and they don't know any better. I'm like, how can I be pretending to be white by being intellectual when I am
wait, brother, we got 50 seconds. We gotta close it out. But I really appreciate it, man. If you can, call in next week too, man.
Okay, most definitely.
All right.
All right, bye.
Peace. But yeah, y'all, we down to the last couple of joints. Sorry, you want to say anything, man?
I want to say thank you to all the listeners. It definitely was a great show. I mean, we extended it again to 2 hours, but, it's kind of hard sometimes to, put so many things together with, such time. Maybe we might, change some things around in the time coming to, be able to get more information out to the people and also, be able to build with the people on a more common level, more so than what
Indeed. With that, I say peace. Thank you, brother, for always having a great show. Thank you for your support. And thank you and respect to all of the children, again, that have been mercilessly cut down. Let's win this thing. It's not over. We can definitely make it happen, man. So again, tune in next week. Super Heru Radio. Aries, if you're listening. Victor, if you're listening, I love you. The handlers, if you're listening, I love them. Free them up. All right? So with that, I say peace. And we're going to get in next week, man.
Yeah.
Super Heru Radio.
Super Heru Radio. Peace.
Peace.